Hello, everyone, and welcome. I hope you're all having a great day. My name is Dan Charte, and I serve as Managing Director and Partner at Kaizen Institute North America. I'm excited to be moderating today's roundtable discussion on lean methodologies and continuous improvement. In today's fast-moving business landscape, organizations must be agile and consistently seeking ways to enhance efficiency, productivity, and overall performance. Lean methodologies provide a proven framework to achieve these goals, eliminating waste, maximizing value, and fostering a culture of innovation. This roundtable brings together a group of experienced professionals who have successfully integrated lean principles into their organizations. We'll explore real-world challenges, celebrate successes, and discuss the evolving future of lean methodologies. Let's get started. To kick things off, let's take a moment to get to know our panelist. Could each of you briefly introduce yourselves and share your role in driving continuous improvement within your organization? Mary, would you like to start?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Thanks, Dan, and thanks for having me today. I was first introduced to lean management many years ago, working for Delta Airlines, and I really understood the power of structured continuous improvement with the complex, fast-paced, moving environment at the Atlanta airport. And since then, it's been a core part of my leadership, helping me through aviation, food and beverage, e-commerce, logistics. But over the last few years, I have been working with Fortna, and we've been focusing on the lean principles at a strategic level. So taking their 5-year strategy and weaving that into the Hoshin-Kanri framework. And it's really setting our foundation for things like the value stream analysis, Kaizen events, and building a culture of continuous improvement. I'm excited to be here today to share my journey and my perspective.
Thanks, Mary. Ethan, you're next.
Well, thank you, Dan, for having me here today. So I'm the city clerk with the city of Albuquerque, and I, in pertinent part, work processing requests for public records from the public for the city of Albuquerque. It's an incredibly strange process to oversee because all of the products we make are so different. I mean, people can request literally anything from across the city, but it's one that I've discovered is really ripe for continuous improvement. I'm very new to lean. I was reading through tons of material on the internet about how to improve processes and stumbled on it in the course of that, and have been working to reduce our backlog of public records requests now for 2 to 3 years, and it's been incredibly helpful to have really a structured process of change, as Mary mentioned, in our work environment. So, we have been reducing our backlog, and we're making a lot of progress, and I'm looking forward to talking about it here today.
Very good. Thanks, Ethan. Erica, finally over to you.
Thank you. My name is Erica King. I'm the Vice President of Operations at an organic hair care brand called InnerSense. I was very lucky in my career that I started at Procter & Gamble, which is very into lean. So I kind of saw the pinnacle of lean practices. And since then, I've been able to move to smaller, rapid growing companies that haven't heard of lean before and implement some of the processes. So coming into InnerSense, they hadn't heard of value stream mapping. They haven't heard of Kaizens, Gemba, all that terminology that I kind of took for granted at Procter & Gamble. So I've been able to introduce them to that and really help teams work together. Even though I have oversight to our warehouse and customer success and inventory, I really work with all of our teams, sales, education, marketing, to bring everything together and drive improvements across the whole company.
Perfect. Thank you for that, Erica. Implementing lean methodologies presents both challenges and opportunities. While organizations work to enhance efficiency and streamline processes, they often face obstacles such as resistance to change, limited resources, and operational complexities. Overcoming these hurdles is key to realizing the full potential of lean and fostering a culture of continuous improvement. What are some of the key challenges you've encountered in implementing lean practices? Ethan, could you share your insights?
Sure. Thanks, Dan. I think when we were starting out in this, one of the biggest challenge was picking the right change opportunities. I mean, so we had what we thought were when you start out, everything looks like a change opportunity. You're like, oh, I can fix this and I can fix this. And so you start up all these projects. And then as you have teams start working on them, sometimes they don't work out as you thought, or they don't, or sometimes they don't create as much change as you anticipated. But the employee buy-in is really important. And so we've had a struggle, like we want to finish the project and we want to have the employees, see their small piece of it come to fruition, even if all the projects don't have the same results. So for example, we created a triage project where we tried to start separating our small public records requests from our big public records requests. And that's had a massive impact on our organization. I mean, really reduced response time. We've had another project where we tried to develop certain standards of work, and because they didn't come up that often, it just didn't have as much overall impact as the triage project. And so I think balancing those different outcomes has been a challenge, both from an employee engagement perspective, but also from a results perspective when I'm trying to garner support for the overall initiative.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that. Erica, how about your experience?
Yeah, I think I've been very lucky that people here have been very open to the change. They're very excited about value stream mapping and Kaizen events. And when I first started, I wasn't sure how that would be. So I think, I've worked for organizations where when they do a value stream assessment, they want to cover everything across the board. And I find that when you bring in your employees that are the boots on the ground, they find that very overwhelming, and they come in with the mindset of like, oh, well, nothing's going to change for me. So when I first brought it here, I started with a very narrow scope of, hey, we're just going to cover order entry and what are the issues along with that. And I think through that conversation, it could expand a lot. So I really had to keep bringing the team in to say, hey, let's stay focused on the scope. Here's the criteria that we're covering. We're covering from this point to this point. And that helped keep people on track. I think the other challenge is that when you're going through a value stream assessment, people really want to get to those solutions right away. So you have to draw people back a lot, like, hey, let's map out what the current process is and let's track what our errors, defects, MUDA is through each one of those, table it, and then when we get to mapping out our ideal state, then we'll discuss solutions. Because when you start talking about solutions while you're mapping out the current state, you really stay within the mindset of like, what am I used to? What bounds am I used to playing within? Where if you wait till the end and you're saying what's ideal state, that's when you get people starting to think outside of the box.
Right. Perfect. Thank you. Mary, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, mine actually really reflect what Ethan brought up in his challenge and opportunities is we had too many initiatives. We were pulling focus across multiple different areas, and it's creating a lot of noise and fragmentation. So trying to align to a few critical strategic priorities is really where we started to focus, because it was our biggest struggle. And even defining those priorities was a challenge, getting the right data to make sure it's pointing to the right problem or the right issue, getting alignment on what that process issue to improve truly was, and getting agreement on our targets to improve. So all of those were just a learning curve and a struggle to get everybody to find the right data, to find the right process, and so that we could focus on what those were. And for us, sustainability of change, it didn't come from doing everything. It really came from focusing in and getting clarity and alignment on the vision and the strategy of where we all were moving towards.
Right. Perfect. Thank you. Despite these challenges, lean initiatives have driven remarkable improvements across organizations, from reducing costs to enhancing customer satisfaction. Companies that effectively embrace lean have seen transformative results, making it a true game changer in today's competitive landscape. Would you like to share a success story that has significantly impact on you or your organization? Erica, could you provide an example?
Yeah, so I think one of the main cultural successes was bringing in cross-functional teams for these value stream assessments. I mentioned what we looked at of entering orders, order processing. So it would have been easy to say, I'm just going to bring in my sales team or my customer success team that enters orders, but I also brought in finance, I brought in warehouse, and that really opened people's eyes to say like, oh, I didn't know you were dealing with that. I didn't know that you had that challenge, or help them understand when they see something on there and how to communicate that effectively with that other team. And through that, we were really focused on improving our fulfillment times, and our quote unquote lost orders that would get lost for sometimes 60 days at a time is what I was seeing when I started, because there weren't eyes on it, or there was an issue with being able to fulfill it, or it was entered incorrectly. So since then, we don't have orders getting stuck for more than 7 days, and our average lead times have reduced down to a day and a half across all of our revenue channels. So it's been a huge improvement, and that happened within a very short period of time by bringing all of those people together.
Very good. Very interesting. Mary, what about you?
I would say that the most impactful really for us was the proof of concept. It wasn't necessarily the largest revenue or the biggest significant financial gain, but it was a post-merger that we had all of our professional services team. They had to log their hours in multiple different systems because it depended on which project they were working on, would depend on which system they needed to put their hours into. And you can imagine the frustration and the confusion, just the inefficiency. And ultimately, it was a revenue loss for us. And so what we started to do was apply lean thinking. And we actually did our first online Gemba walk. And so what we did was we had our engineers take us through each step of the process in the multiple different systems. And that allowed us to show finance and IT and the other business leaders really the impact that it was having. So seeing that complexity, it was huge for them to really understand what was happening. It suddenly was no longer just a complaint. They could really understand what they were going through every day as they started to log their hours for these different projects. So we were able to implement some quick wins and almost immediately. And then, of course, we had some action items around system simplifications and some guidelines that we needed to change. But being able to walk leaders through that process and them really understanding that became our proof of concept, and it built momentum and much more of a buy-in and an understanding for what we needed to accomplish. So it wasn't just about fixing the system, it was solving real business problems for us and helping us with that larger cultural shift. So that was our success factor.
Very good. Thanks for sharing, Mary. Ethan, any success stories to share?
So the biggest thing for us has always been response time. There's various reasons I don't think this is fair, but the public is always looking like, how long after I submit a request can I expect a response? And in 2023 and 2024, our average response time was between 64 and 82 days. And over the last year, we've seen it come down to now to 24 days, which has been just a massive change. And it really is a result of sort of all of the above in terms of what we've done with Kaizen. I mean, we're doing daily Kaizen meetings. We've done a huge amount of standard of work, which has decreased our training time. So we have more people getting up to speed more quickly. And then the triage process has also helped us separate big things from small things, so we can close out small things more quickly. And but the overall response time really has dropped dramatically, which has been a huge success.
Okay, very good, very good. Lean is not just about optimizing processes; it's about empowering people. A core principle of Lean is engaging employees at all levels to cultivate a culture of continuous improvement. When employees are actively involved, they feel a sense of ownership, leading to greater innovation and a stronger commitment to driving meaningful change. How do you foster engagement and preparation in the initiatives you led? Mary, can you share your strategies on this?
Sure. I think for us, it's the real engagement is involving people early. So it's not just at the time of implementation or when the change actually happens. Mm-hmm. The employees are identifying the problems and the opportunities firsthand. They're really pointing out the pain points that they're experiencing. And it's not about a form. It's not about putting a check mark on a checklist. It's seeing what they're experiencing. It's about getting into their world. It's about asking, what would you do if you could change this? Right. We had a leader that was walking one of our manufacturing lines, and while he was there, the line and production stopped. And so without telling anybody that he was asking some lean type questions, he started doing just that. Why is the line down? What is it that you have to do? How long will it take you? What do you think a solution so that we could do this quicker would be? And he, in a matter of hours, got engineering to work with the maintenance group and re-engineer and redesign this part so that they could put the maintenance in much quicker. And quite honestly, it was a much safer replacement process with this new design. And it really made an impact. And it was such a great impact that you would never get in a classroom or you would never get from a handbook. And they didn't even realize that they were leaning it out. So pointing out those things after the fact and really helping them understand and engage in that, it's really pulling lean not into the organization, but pulling people into the lean journey.
Absolutely. Thank you. Ethan, how do you approach this?
I think we have a pretty big group here of about 30 people that processes public records requests. And the biggest thing for us has been to make sure that we have a wide cross section of our teams in each group. So as we've divided up the different workshops, we've really tried to have, different levels of employees within each team, because it's helped spread understanding of why we're doing things. I think it's also increased each team's ownership in the project. It's also assisted with knowledge transfer, because we don't want, if someone leaves, we don't want the lean ethos to leave too. And so having lower ranking employees who've, been in the process and been in team meetings and done the work has really helped us a lot in increasing engagement, but also changing the culture.
Okay, very good. Erica, what has worked for you?
I think something that's worked for me, and there might be mixed opinions on this, but I think doing the job of the person that you're trying to help to understand what their challenges are. So when I started, I mentioned the order entry Kaizen event that we did. I spent time with our customer success team saying, can you train me on how to do order entry? And then I did order entry for a few weeks. So I truly understood what they were dealing with. And then I think by the time we went into the value stream assessments, I knew enough to ask leading questions to get that team more involved. So it can sometimes be overwhelming as a warehouse employee or, an hourly employee coming to a group like that, an exercise like that with a bunch of leaders to say, tell me what you're dealing with. Some people get shy. Some people don't think of everything. So I think having done it for a while, I'm able to say, well, hey, you showed me this when you were training me. Can you say more about that, and have encourage them to speak up. And I think the other thing is, I did that small value stream assessment when I first started, and then I brought in Kaizen Institute, and I brought in our warehouse employees and got them trained. And I think what that showed them is we were not only doing it as a project internally, but we were making a financial investment in their capability to help them. And, we got a lot of oh my God, thank you for including me in that. I'm so excited about it, because they saw that it wasn't just something I was telling them to do as a new VP here at this company, but it's something that works across multiple companies, and there's a lot of data behind it. So it was great to be able to make that investment in their development.
Perfect. Okay. Okay, very good. One of the greatest challenges of Lean is sustaining momentum beyond initial implementation. Launching a Lean initiative is just the first step. Maintaining a culture of continuous improvement requires strong leadership commitment, well-structured processes, and an ongoing employee engagement. What step have you taken to build and sustain a culture of continuous improvement in your organization? Ethan, what's your approach?
So we've generally focused on starting with the basics. I mean, we've really tried to push the daily Kaizen meetings, and also revisiting those continuously to make sure they're working for what the employees are doing now, and making sure that the data is sort of telling them what they need to know about their team's performance. We've also sort of built on that and had another level of like a monthly team meeting for all the teams where they present cases that haven't gone how they thought, or cases that have been challenging. And I think that's identified for everyone, really, that everyone has the opportunity to improve and that everyone can mess something up, but that, it's not, messing something up isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just an idea and an opportunity to find a better way to do things. And so, linking these has been important. And then we've also tried to link our employee advancement to Kaizen. So, for example, we now include like a special project component in our employee advancement, which has been really exciting. And we haven't had anyone go full circle on that yet, but we are really excited to make that a component of our employee advancement program.
Okay, very good. Erica, how have you ensured long-term success?
So I think it's been a little easy for me because people have seen the benefits quickly and they're like, oh my God, can we do a value stream assessment on this? Can we do a Kaizen event on this? And it's almost like I have to be like, hold on, I've got 5 others running right now. We'll get to these. So I think people just seeing the impact makes it really come alive and part of everyday culture. We implemented daily direction setting meetings for our warehouse and customer success teams, which track the KPIs that we targeted at improving. When I started, there was no daily meeting. It wasn't tracking like, hey, what's our average lead time been? How many stalled orders do we have? So the stuff that we've attacked with Kaizen events, we've made sure to make it visual to the teams that are responsible for those results. And then I think project management too. I have a bit of a project management background. I'm very big on creating an action plan, assigning one owner who's responsible for it. I think you can get out of hand when you say, okay, education's responsible for this action, then everybody thinks everyone else is doing it. So always assigning one person who's responsible for making it happen. Obviously, they work as a team, and due date, and then regularly checking in on that. So
okay, thank you. Mary, what strategies have worked for you?
Yeah, like I said, we've really tried to take the 5-year strategy and put it into the Hoshinkanri. And then what we've done is taken that and changed our entire operating model. So every month, as we go through our operational metrics, it is based on where are we with our bowlers? Where are we with which events? What impacts are it having, or is it having, or are they not having? And we've really gotten from the top down to push that and drive that and holding people accountable, whether it's a bowler and looking at the status of the bowler, whether it's the action plans that you had mentioned, Erica, and are the Gembas happening? Are we getting where we need to be on our tasks that need to be completed? And what are those outcomes that are coming out of that? Really having leadership live it versus being on the sideline of the lean management has been extremely helpful, but it's still a work in progress.
Okay, very good. As business world continues to evolve, so too must lean methodologies. A key driver of this evolution is digital transformation. With organizations increasingly leveraging AI, automation, data analytics to optimize processes, enhance decision-making, and accelerate lean initiatives. However, the future of lean extends beyond technology. It also requires a culture shift, new ways of working, and the ability to adapt to emerging challenges across industries. Success in lean will depend on how well organizations integrate both innovation and a mindset of continuous improvement. How do you see digital transformation shaping the future of lean? And what other trends or challenges do you foresee in a lean landscape? Eric, I'm going to pick on you first. What's your perspective on this?
Well, I think it's going to have a huge impact. I think, people associate digitizing with efficiency, but there's a lot of work that goes into making automation successful. You have to think of like, what process am I using to manage my master data? That has to be input. How is this set up on the front end? So just because you implement a digital tool doesn't mean all your problems are going to be solved. But I do think, you mentioned AI. I think that's going to be huge for when you're writing out processes. I think it's going to save a lot of time. We actually use ChatGPT a lot when we're trying to figure out, hey, what is the right way to do a cycle count in using our warehouse management system? And you can literally go to ChatGPT, describe, hey, we have a picking packing operation, we use RF Smart, here are some of our inventory challenges, write me an SOP.
Right.
Obviously, you still have to read it and understand it and make modifications as it fits for your business, but it's really helped break down the barrier of people saying, well, I'm not a good writer, I'm not good at formatting. To go to that tool and say, oh yeah, I can make a draft. I can do that. Or when you're looking at, hey, I really have a need for a new role, going to ChatGPT, explaining your business, explaining what you need for the role, and having it spit something out has been a huge time saver for us.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that, Rika. Mary, how do you foresee these changes?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even sure it's a foresee. I think it's happening right now. Like Erica, is saying, we have real-time visibility into operations, which we've not necessarily had in the, past 5-10 years. Right. We can act with greater speed and precision now because of this information. And it's really taking over kind of that repetitive, low-value tasks that we don't want our employees focusing on. It's also surfacing bottlenecks that we couldn't see before because of all this technology, and that you can feed into the technology that's identifying a lot of this. So I think a lot of that is happening now. Right. What I think the biggest challenge and the opportunity, though, is going to be is, like Erica said, is that rapid change in technology, and then what we do with the human side of lean. So we have to build resilient teams. We need to make sure that they're ready to adapt to the ever-changing and the quickly changing. We need to continue to foster that learning so that we're always constantly learning, just as technology is, how do we work with this and what does that look like? But most importantly, I think we have to design flexible processes that can keep up, because if we have these really complex processes that take a lot of effort to change, we won't be able to adapt as quickly as the technology, and we will be left behind.
Okay, very good insights. Thank you. Ethan, what trends do you think will shape the future?
So there's a lot of discussion right now in public records world about AI and redaction, because a lot of what we do is redacting, social security numbers and dates of birth out of records. And the promise is there. I mean, I've seen studies showing that, these systems can redact incredibly accurately. I think the hard part is the human integration, because what we see a lot of the time is people want, incredibly specific sets of records. And so
right.
I think the challenge we're trying to navigate is like, how do we obtain the benefit of AI and the redaction that it can do, while at the same time, dealing with the customization that we have to handle, because people want such sort of strange, specific things. Mm-hmm. And I think when we can marry those two, I think there's going to be a need for us to develop significant process analysis. And so that's where I think lean comes in. So I can see the future. I can see it right now. We're at a strange point because of, I think, the industry that I'm in. I haven't quite felt it down at my level yet.
Yeah. They're scary and exciting times at the same time, right? So All right. Sustainability is becoming an increasingly important factor in business strategies. Organizations are integrating lean with sustainability efforts to reduce waste, improve efficiency, and align with environmental goals. How do you incorporate sustainability principles into your lean initiatives? And how does this contribute to the overall organizational performance? Ethan, could you discuss how sustainability is integrated into lean at your company?
So one aspect, one thing we've been trying to do in addition to streamlining our own process is trying to eliminate requests on the front end entirely by publishing records online. So, and that's where the data has come in. We've really been trying to analyze our data about what the public is requesting, and then going in and finding those record sets and trying to publish them as a class of records across the city. And I think this is in alignment with the city, both the city and national sustainability trends, because our city has announced that we're trying to be 100% renewable in our energy use. And so if we can just eliminate requests entirely, we'll be in a good place.
Right.
And so I think really just trying to eliminate the demand on the front end is what we're focused on as far as sustainability goes. And it has been important to work with our dashboards and the data that we're gathered through our lean initiatives to, find out what the public wants. And if we can publish it, we do. So
Right.
that's our focus.
Okay. Perfect. Erica, how do you align sustainability goals with your lean initiatives?
So sustainability is huge for us. We're an organic company. We're B Corp certified. We're 1% for the planet. So it's a really big focus for us. We're constantly reporting on what our waste is, and lean is all about reducing waste.
Right.
So it's kind of hard not to include it, but I'd say, where a lot of waste comes from is, at least for a company like ours, is if you have product that expires that you have to dispose of, if you have quality defects, you can't just, contrary to popular belief, you can't just dump a bottle of shampoo down the drain.
Yeah.
You have the plastic to think about. So a lot of work that we do is figuring out how do we determine the right, cycle time or turnover time for our inventory so that we prevent things from expiring, so that we don't have to scrap it. It doesn't go to a landfill.
Right.
So it's hard not to take sustainability into account. It's in everything related to lean.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Thank you. Mary, what role does sustainability play in your company's lean strategy?
Yeah, we're similar to kind of Erica. It's a matter of, it's almost an expectation of especially customers, but sometimes our partners and even our employees. I can give an example. When I was with Fresh Direct, which is the largest online grocer in the Northeast, we were delivering groceries to really small New York City apartments, but we were delivering them in a bunch of corrugated boxes. And we heard that feedback loud and clear. And so it pushed us to rethink our entire food fulfillment process. And we redesigned workflows, we re-engineered some equipment, but all so that we could deliver products by eliminating that waste, which is exactly what lean is, but also improving the value to our customers, which is also what lean is. So I'm kind of on the same board as Erica, is that, lean actually drives the sustainability, not us putting the sustainability into lean.
Right. Okay, very good. Remote work has become a new norm for many industries, presenting both opportunities and challenges in sustaining lean practices. Maintaining collaboration, efficiency, and a culture of continuous improvement in remote setting requires organization to adopt new strategies, leverage digital tools, and foster strong communications. How are you adapting lean practices to maintain productivity and collaborating in a remote or hybrid work environment? Erica, how are you adjusting your lean practices for remote work?
So I'm kind of in an interesting situation where none of my teams work remotely.
Okay.
We're a hybrid schedule. They all are in the office full time, at least my warehouse and customer success teams. I find that that helps a lot because there's a lot of organic conversations that just happen in passing that don't happen in a remote situation. Now, teams like our sales team, education, marketing, they work a hybrid schedule. They work one day from home. So I find it really important when we're doing these value stream assessments that everybody's in office for it.
Right.
It's easier to have back and forth conversations. Most of the time we've got big post-it notes on the wall, we're physically writing things down, and I feel that that helps with engagement. So I've been lucky in that regard. I know there's other benefits to remote working, but I find that the collaboration that our company has by requiring so many days in office has been really helpful in driving our lean journey a lot quicker. The last company I worked for, Pepsi, there was a team that led lean that was remote. They were the ones who were kind of the project manager. And it was very, very difficult to have people truly take ownership of those actions because here they had the mindset of, well, I'm being led by somebody who isn't even at the plant.
Right.
I'm sure there's good tactics that other people have for doing that effectively. I think having lean owned by people at the plant or at the place that the work is being done is the best way to drive change.
Okay. Thank you. Mary, what strategies have you implemented to keep lean effective in a remote setting?
Yeah, I think, the fundamentals haven't changed, right? It's still about visibility and collaboration and continuously problem solving. It's just a matter of, so how do you make that happen when some people are in the office or only partially in the office? And I think there's roles like engineering and IT that, they easily adapt to digital tools. So whether it's using visual management boards or online Gemba walks or real-time dashboards, that's easy for them.
Right.
But when you have areas like operations, like manufacturing, logistics, and maintenance, you have to be a lot more intentional. Sometimes there's just no substitute for, like Erica said, being on the line or being in the building or on the floor. And so it's about knowing when you can use kind of a digital solution and when you need to kind of have the boots on the ground. And for us, we've kind of found a rhythm to get into so that people know and understand, when it's going to be, how we're going to have our updates and what that's going to look like, but then really pulling people in and on the floor or in the building when there are key decisions that need to be made or things that we need to kind of roll up our sleeves and tackle together. So finding that balance between the two, not easy, but we're starting to really understand and work through what flow works best for us.
Okay, perfect. Ethan, how do you foster collaboration and improvement in remote teams?
It's been, I think as Mary was highlighting, it's a constant search for balance. I mean, we have tried a number of different formats for remote work. We've tried a different mix for teams in office on certain days. And for us, I mean, we have kind of we're like a bureaucratic factory. And so I don't know, like, we do need people we have a shop floor basically, and we do need people on it. And then because we have so many people coming on board all the time, it's been important to have a lot of hands-on training, which has made remote work kind of challenging at times. At the same time, our teams do love remote work because they do find the time to focus and redact, specific videos very important and work on more complex things. And so I think just taking a constant, magnifying glass to it and making sure what you're doing is working has been really important. And not everyone has always agreed on that. I mean, it's been a constant discussion. And but I think just continuing to adapt has been important, and also conveying that it's an open discussion because the staff may not like what I'm doing now, but we've continued to change and they have liked different things at different times. So it's been an evolution.
Okay, thank you. As we wrap up, I'd like to ask each of you a final thought. If you could summarize your vision for the future of lean in one sentence, what would it be? Mary, would you like to start?
Sure. So here's my sentence. The future of lean isn't about perfection. It's about relentless progress, empowering people to solve real problems and creating real value where it matters most.
Okay. Thank you. Ethan, your thoughts?
So transparency is one of the bedrocks of our democracy, and making sure that municipal governments can deliver that with sustainable practices is key. And so that's what our focus remains, and Lean's been critical in helping us deliver.
Okay. Thank you, Ethan. Erica, what's your final takeaway?
Lean is not a one size fits all. You modify different pieces of lean to fix the business and the situation that you're in order for it to be effective.
Yeah, thank you. I agree. Thank you, Mary, Ethan, Erica, for sharing your valuable insights today. We've had a fantastic discussion on lean methodologies, continuous improvements, and the evolving landscape of operational excellence. To our audience, we truly appreciate your time and engagement. Let's take these insights forward and continue driving lean excellence within our organization. Wishing you all a great day. Thanks, everyone. And thank you again, team.